Going on, everyone? I'm gonna give another minute for people to continue to join. I know how we are as real estate agents. Being on time is being technically 5 minutes behind. So I know about that because I'm a real estate agent myself. We'll give people a few more minutes to get on. Make sure everything on my end is good. Man, we are in such a great time to get listings. I mean, there's no better time to get listings, I would say. When inventory is at all-time lows, when pretty much if you get a listing, you put it on the market and it sells within hours, right? And being somebody who worked with a lot of buyers and worked with a lot of sellers, one thing I always realized is if I have 10 active buyers, I'm running all around town, right? I'm working like it feels like you're working 24 hours. You're in the car all the time, showing property, all that fun stuff. So you're putting a lot of work in, which isn't a bad thing. But let's say you have 10 active listings. It's a lot less output, I would say, to get a faster result because homes are selling within hours. So the days on market is a lot shorter. And versus working with a buyer, you're probably in the market with that buyer for several weeks, right? So what a great time to be a seller agent. What a great time to be working with sellers and finding ways to get more of the inventory, right? It's 3:01, so we're gonna hop right into it. Let's go. Okay. So winning listings in a competitive market. Actually, I'm gonna make sure that people, if you have questions or comments, you can leave it in the Q&A and then I'll make sure I get to it. Just want to double check to make sure that is unlocked for you guys to be able to do so. And we should be, let me double check. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, cool. All right, y'all. So winning listings in a competitive market. Everyone, let me just make a formal introduction. If you don't know who I am, my name is Antoine Thomas with the High Value Agent. I run one of the top teams in our market, Silverliner Real Estate Group. I am very blessed to work with a lot of complete badasses every single day. And one of the main focuses that we've been really doing and focusing on is how to get more listings, right? We've been able to, compared to this year, compared to last year, double our listing count, okay? The amount of listings that we're activating onto the market, we've been able to increase that percentage this year compared to last year, and we're just getting started. Every single day, we're coming up with new ways to generate opportunities when it comes to the listing side. And because we're committed, all of us, to giving back to the community, giving back to an industry that has done so many things for us and blessing us and giving us ways to support our families and even support the clients, like the clients' families, and be able to help provide a positive impact in their life. I figured it's going to be in our nature as how we do things in my world, to give back, to be able to share some of the wins and some of the things that we're doing here at Silverline Real Estate Group, and through High Value Agent, share those same tactics and strategies for you to deploy immediately in your business. And I would expect for you to get a result within 90 days, okay? So that's what this is about today, winning listings in a competitive market. So let's go and hop into it. The reality is we're in what we call an odd market. Inventory is super low. Like I ran data today, the inventory levels, or you could call it the absorption rate, 1.4 months. If no other homes hit the market starting today, moving on, we will be at an inventory in less than 2 months. In less than 2 months, we will be completely out of homes available for a buyer to purchase. Think about that. Just to put things in perspective, a normal market is 6 months. That's a normal market. We have less than 2 months of inventory. 6 months of inventory is normal. We're in an extreme seller's market. Now, the reason why I call it odd is because we're in a situation where you have less buyers in the market due to higher rates, but we also have extremely low inventory, where over the past couple of years, you would see lower rates and low inventory. But today we're seeing less buyer population, but still low inventory, which means homes are still selling very fast and despite the rates going up. So that's an odd market. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, there's no better time to be a listing agent. There's no better time to build up your listing inventory. There's no better time to be able to leverage that opportunity to get listings to then possibly double end a deal, to get a listing and generate a buyer from that opportunity, whether it's through an open house or a sign call, right? And we're going to talk about some of that stuff. But there's no better time to be a listing agent in an odd market, an odd competitive market that we're in today. Sales are down. Sales are down. So in our market this year compared to last year, the market is down 21%. Okay. Last year compared to the year before, so 2022 compared to 2021, the market, meaning the sales, were down 15%. So over the past couple of years, the amount of sales has dropped by at least 5%. Okay, so sales are down. I put up here as the market crashing. I don't hear that too, like that question often anymore, but this time last year, this time 2022, I mean, that was constantly what you would hear. The market's going to crash, or, you know, all this noise. The market has not crashed. It hasn't crashed. However, sales are down. That's just the reality, okay? Now, in some markets, maybe sales they're sustainable, or they're being sustained year to date compared to last year to date, which is great, right? Every market is different, but here in the market that I'm in, overall sales are down 21% year to date, okay? Write this down. The person who controls the inventory controls the market. The person who controls the inventory controls the market. When you have listings, when you have a listing inventory, now you're on the receiving end of the offers. You dictate what happens in the market. Think about it. If there were 300 active listings on the market right now, and you had all 300 active listings, that was your listing inventory. If you did a price reduction of, let's say, 5% on all 300 active listings, you've literally impacted the entire inventory has been impacted with the price by 5%. That's how much control you would have if you had a whole bunch of inventory. I just gave you an extreme example, but the person who controls the inventory, who has the most inventory, controls the market. Because you have some type of impact on the prices. You have more insight on buyer behavior, more insight on seller behavior, which more information and knowledge you have gives you more power, right? So write this down. The person who controls the inventory controls the market. That's why I tell you it's a great time to be a listing agent. So if you really deploy what we're going to talk about today, you're going to be able to increase your inventory, the listing inventory that you have, from my experience, for what I've seen, by 10 to 20% immediately, like within 90 days. Okay. Let's talk about working with a seller. When we are working with a client, we're being hired. And let me make sure I can fix this camera. Oh, come on. Nope. Okay. But when we're working with sellers, sellers are needing our support because what they're needing is information. What they're needing is guidance, right? They are hiring you because, think about it this way, they're hiring you because they need you to lead them. That is why they hire you. If they have the knowledge that you currently have, if they already have that knowledge, then you would just be a commodity, right? They wouldn't need you, but they need the knowledge that you have. So when you're helping sellers, your mind frame in your entire framework needs to be someone of an authority and someone of pure confidence in your ability. I'm gonna say that again. Write down authority and confidence. That needs to be your approach. Now, how do you become somebody who is confident in your profession and establishes authority? Well, you got to be educated on the market. You got to know the data. You got to know what's happening, but not only in the local market, but the nationwide market. You got to understand what's happening. Okay. You don't need to know every data point, but you have to have a good idea. Okay. Especially in your local market, but you got to have an idea of what's happening nationwide too. Then you got to learn how to have a meaningful, compelling real estate conversation. A meaning and compelling real estate conversation. And understanding too that most sellers will have this type of bravado or confidence already established within themselves based on how the market is, maybe based on success stories of their friends. Maybe they had a friend or a coworker say, I put my home on the market and it sold in one day and blah, 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 blah. Like, so they already have this type of confidence, right? So now you have to be the professional and the advisor to show that you're more confident in your ability than they are in the market. Because today's market will make a very confident seller, which means you also have to set the proper expectation. And you do that by knowing the data and being confident in your conversations when you're talking to a seller. Okay. So working with a seller efficiently, got to have the correct mind frame. Otherwise, nothing else is going to work. Okay. This always starts with your mind. Then you got to have the discipline to generate the opportunity, because like I mentioned, we're in a very low inventory market. So sellers aren't just going to fall on your lap. You got to go out there and make stuff happen. And we're going to talk about how to generate opportunities and where to look to do so. But you got to have the discipline to go take the action. Go take the action. Then you got to have a presentation that is dialed in, concise, and compelling. Because you need to present to sellers and then convert them, okay? Convert them into a client. And then here's a part that I definitely see in our industry. We don't take this part serious. Providing exceptional service and doing it through proactive communication. That is, if you're unaware, the number one complaint that a client has with their agent, and NAR did a study on this, the number one complaint was the lack of effective communication, which correlates to providing good or bad service. Because all that is, when you're talking about providing exceptional service, is just like being a great communicator, setting the proper expectations, which is through communication of your words. The bridge between ignorance and understanding is effective communication. And the more ignorant a client is, which is your fault if the client is ignorant on something that has to do with real estate. That's your fault because your job is to educate them. So the more ignorant a seller is, the more likely you're going to get pushback, and the service will drop because they're going to believe they're not being provided the right service. And then another thing too, before we move on, is you cannot fold. When we talk about being strong as an agent, when we talk about being in authority, being confident, you cannot fold on the process. You cannot fold when it comes time to discuss a price. That doesn't mean that you don't lose the battle to win the war. No, what I mean is you have to stick to the process. And even if it's an uncomfortable conversation you have to have, you need to have the discipline to do it. So do not fold. Do not allow the client who is trusting you to lead them to be the leader, okay? Because otherwise, if that was the case, if they already had all the information that you have, if they already had it in their brain, then you're just a commodity. They don't need you, but they need you for a reason because they don't have the proper information to make informed decisions. That's what you're there for. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Working with sellers efficiently has to do with you, not with, it has nothing to do with about them. It's about your mind frame, you having a discipline to generate opportunities, you having a strong presentation that allows you to get in front of people and convert them into a client, providing exceptional service. That way this client now turns into an advocate and then not folding on your process, okay? Write this down as well. And I apologize for this camera, but write this down. 76% of all listings come from past clients and SOI, according to NAR. According to NAR, 76% of listings, all listings, come from past clients and SOI. So what that tells me is if you want to increase your chances of getting listings, who should we be talking to? Past clients and SOI. That's where a majority of the business comes from. All right. But I would ask the question, how many of us are calling our SOI and our past clients at least once a quarter? Put in the chat if you reach out to your past client and SOI list once a quarter, put a 1 in the chat. And here's the thing, for everyone that says they don't, that all the people that don't put 1 in the chat, here's what I want to tell you. You are leaving so much opportunity on the table. Let me say it this way. You should literally call all of your competition and tell them you're welcome. All the agents that are in your market, call them, each one, and just say, hey, just wanted to call you and just say, hey, you're welcome. And they're going to say, for what? Oh, well, I don't call my past clients and SOI, so that gives you an opportunity to scoop up that business. So I just want to say you're welcome. Go ahead and do it. You might as well. And for everyone who is actually making that phone call and continuing to establish that connection and that rapport, that advocacy that they may have, hopefully you've done a good job. And, in their mind, they're like, yeah, you were great. And if I had a chance to work with you again, I would. Hopefully you did a good enough job there. Kudos to you. Keep doing it because, again, that is where majority of your listings will come from. Past clients and SOI. And for SOI and past clients, you can even add in their referrals. Okay. So indirectly, you may get business from them just from a referral. But it's a good stat to understand. Now, where do we find these seller opportunities? Because again, they're not just going to fall in your lap. Don't expect to make a Facebook post and the next thing you know, your phone's blowing up, or don't expect to you do something one time and you think it's going to be the secret that nobody else has done before, and next thing you know, you got 10 opportunities falling in your lap. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, so everything that I'm going to share with you right now, when we talk about where do we find these opportunities, understand it requires you consistently tapping into these opportunities, into these funnels. Okay, consistently having a system around it. The number one group that you should be tapping into to find seller opportunities, 100% past clients. Past clients. Let me explain why. If you have any past clients, because I know I'm going to address my brand new agents too, what should you do? But if you have any past clients, especially past clients that have bought in the past 3 to 5 years, or even better, longer than that, they are sitting on a substantial amount of equity in their home. And what I've noticed is when homeowners realize the amount of equity they're sitting on, people tend to get a little more optimistic about making a move because they understand financially there's a great chance that they can make it work, right? They'll find issues with their home. You know what? Yeah, I don't really like that our garage door is brown. We should think about buying another house. If that same homeowner was aware that they had only $1,000 of equity, they wouldn't talk like that. But the reality of the market is a lot of homeowners have at least, because we're seeing this on average, at least $20,000 to $25,000 of equity if they lived in the property for a few years. And on average in Indiana, that the average homeowner had or earned over $30,000 of equity in their home since 2020. Think about that. Okay? Think about that. So why not call past clients and stay in communication with them and let them know that there are a lot of opportunity for you, Mr. Seller, past client, to do your upsize or your downsize, or maybe you want to do, maybe you want to tap into some of that equity, take out a home equity line of credit to purchase an investment property or to buy a vacation home. But that information has to come from you making a reach out, and again, providing that information for them to make an empowered decision. Okay, tap into your past clients. Number 2, SOI referrals. You should be aiming to be the go-to resource when it comes to real estate with people that already know, like, and trust you. Again, I understand. Hey, well, I don't really like asking friends for anything. You're not asking anybody for anything other than providing information to them. And if you truly care about your friends, about your SOI, you will do that, because at some point they're going to want to make a move. Why not them work with the best agent in the market, which is you? Why not you provide information for them so they're not confused or uncertain about the reality of the market? Make the reach out, call SOI, and you could generate a lot of referrals from them too. Okay. Number 3 is going to be internet leads and SEO. So an internet lead, let me break that down for you. Like, one of the things that we do, because I'm also sharing with you, this isn't theory, like I mentioned before, like past clients and SOI referrals and internet leads for us are our top 3, where we get majority of our listings from. Those are the top 3. Okay. So I'm sharing with you actual like data, like from our team. But the internet leads, man, powerful, because you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got all these different social media platforms. And you can even hire companies to do a lot of advertising for you. Now you'll pay a good amount of money, but if you don't have the time to learn how to do it yourself, which is okay, hire a company to do it for you, to generate Facebook leads, to generate Instagram leads. These are going to be people that are on Facebook. They see a home on Facebook on their timeline. They click the home photo. It funnels them to your website. I hope you have a home search website. If you don't, please get one. Then at that point, it will be a forced registration. They do that. And then at that point, you call them because now you gathered their information. Keep this in mind because a lot of people give internet leads a bad rap because they're like, oh, they're low quality leads. Nope, you're just a low quality agent, because internet leads are very powerful. As a matter of fact, in my entire career, internet leads has been at least top 3. Yes, they require a lot of nurturing. But like I said, before we start talking about the opportunities, keep in mind, we are in a nurture relationship-based game. That's just what we do. There's no way around it when it comes to real estate. Like, it comes down to how can I continue? It's not about building rapport, it's about how much rapport I built. But how much nurturing can I do with this one individual that will establish me as the go-to real estate professional when the time comes for them to want to make a move? Internet leads, yes, it requires a lot of nurturing, okay? That's just the way it is. SEO, which is going to be search engine optimization based on Google or Bing or anything like that. Same thing. And this can be organic too, but people that are searching for local real estate agents in Google, are you popping up? Are you popping up? You can, again, hire services to help you with that. You could try to take a course and learn to do it yourself. But whichever way you go, understand it's powerful. It still requires the same type of follow-up, and you got to be very assertive there, but it can be very powerful. And the internet leads and SEO, keep in mind, oh man, what was the number? Goodness gracious. I think it was 60 to 72%, and I could be off by a percent or two, but 60 to 72% of all sellers will also be buying, okay? 60 to 72%. And then another thing to keep in mind, majority of sellers are disguised as buyers, okay? Because when everybody, if you're a homeowner, whether you're a current homeowner or a first-time home buyer, you always start your search online. Because there's not many people that I know that are going to sell a home first and then buy, or I'm sorry, buy a home first and then sell. Most people, they need to sell first to buy. They start their process online. So when people talk about, oh, internet leads are buyer leads, listen, these are going to be people who are homeowners as well, okay? Number 4, open houses. Very powerful, because you'll have a lot of people who are a little lower in the funnel that are actually, because most people, again, will look at homes online. If somebody's willing to get in their car and drive to go see a home, take time out of their day to get dressed, if they got kids, get the kids together, hop in a car and go to this house, and then have to talk to people, because obviously there's going to be an agent there, willing to get out of the car, go into the house, and possibly have to talk to an agent. These people are going to be a little lower on the funnel, in the sales funnel. So open houses are powerful as well. FSBOs are great. They do require a little more skill. You got to definitely come from a place of contribution and value. Don't try to be pushy, because then you're just going to push yourself out of the opportunity. But FSBOs, they're limited, especially in our market. There's not a lot of FSBOs. So once there could be 3 to 4 at a time. Definitely a great lead source, a great opportunity there. So make sure you call them. And then circle prospecting / door knocking. Very powerful. Again, a lot of people are afraid of cold calling, but in my opinion, you're tapping into opportunities that most likely other agents have not tapped into yet, okay? Imagine looking in your multiple listing service and figuring out which neighborhood has the highest turnover rate, meaning which neighborhood has the most homes going to market and selling within a year period. Pulling a list of data of that neighborhood, phone numbers, names, addresses, and then calling through that neighborhood, a high turnover neighborhood, to generate some opportunity. Powerful, powerful. I know it can be uncomfortable. You're going to get a lot of rejection because this is a cold conversation. However, very powerful. We've done it for years. Circle prospecting, door knocking, we don't really do as much on our team, but I do know a lot of like badass door knockers that have built a powerful business just by door knocking. Okay, so it's definitely a great approach if you're disciplined. So these are the seller opportunities. Like you should be tapping, and I want to say you should. It would be very beneficial, in my opinion, if you tapped into these 6 opportunities: past clients, SOI/referrals, internet leads /SEO, open houses, FSBOs, and circle prospecting /door knocking. Here's the reality. Confidence and commissions go hand in hand, okay? And what that means is, if you're somebody who you're wanting to grow your listing side of your business, you may not have all the skills, you may not have all the answers yet, and that's okay. So that means you're probably not as confident because you don't have as much experience, or maybe you do have experience when it comes to working with sellers, but because you're wanting to double that side of the business, or you're wanting to do more, that means you're stepping into a zone that you're unaware of, right? You're gonna have to talk to different type of leads. You're gonna have to, maybe you never circle prospected in your life. So now if you want to get 1 to 2 more listings activated on the market per month, yeah, you got to tap into circle prospecting. Maybe you got to start calling FSBOs now. So you're like, I'm not that confident. I don't have that skill set yet. Okay. Confidence and commissions do go hand in hand, but all you have to do to gain the confidence to then earn more money is to become more competent. So if FSBOs, for example, very simple. Never called a FSBO in your life. Perfect. Go find a FSBO script. It can be a Mike Ferry. It could be a Tom Ferry. It doesn't matter. Go find a script, okay? Practice it give yourself 3 days of chanting the script, writing the script out, recording yourself saying the script, and just doing that over and over and over for 3 days with the commitment that on day 4, you're going to call all the FSBOs in the area, okay? Maybe even outside of your market. Get the reps in, okay? You got to get the reps in, because that competence and getting the reps in, which builds the competence, by the way. A lot of people want to be like, they want all the information first before they take action. Keep in mind, taking the action gives you the proper perspective to digest information and for you to internalize it, okay? So by taking the action, you're becoming more competent, which means you'll get more wins, because you're going to fall into some opportunities just from you taking the action, which then builds the confidence. Some of us try to do it backwards. So confidence and commissions go hand in hand, but you got to build the confidence through the reps, okay? Now, what do we say, right? What did we say? Like I mentioned, listings require high skills. So because they're more difficult to acquire and they're in high demand by agents, they are going to be harder to get, all right? And the reason why we don't get listings consistently, or we're not actively in pursuit to get listings, is because we don't know what to say. And like I mentioned, we just don't have the confidence. We don't have the confidence in what we offer as an agent. And typically this will happen when an agent will cut the corners, or they don't spend enough time building skills as a listing agent. One thing that we're working on here on Silver Lining, and again, I don't, this is all about sharing with you and being transparent about what we're working on here at the company that I'm a part of. That is having a unique selling proposition as an agent. So you'll have buyer USPs, and then you'll have seller USPs. A unique selling proposition is going to be a benefit that will set you apart from the competition. So a benefit to the consumer or to the client that separates you or makes you different from everyone else in the market. It's a value add, right? We don't want to make the phone calls or pursue listings because they require higher skill, and they may even require you go through a lot more rejection. And I'm telling you, get clear on your USP. Get clear on your USP, because now you can have a conversation as to why that seller should hire you versus the competition. So now you're able to convert at a higher level to get in front of people or to get the contract signed for them to hire you. Okay. So don't cut the corners. Spend as much time, and I would recommend at least an hour a day, building your skills as a listing agent. I know this isn't the sexy part, but it's this stuff that makes the difference. Okay. So I'm going to get into how to create urgency. Let's assume that you've done all of that. You've put the work in on your script. You got a presentation dialed in. You practiced it. You feel confident about it. You've been making a reach outs to past clients, to SOI. If you don't have past clients, go double into your SOI, right? Maybe you even hired a company to do internet leads for you. All of that stuff. You've done all of that. You've done everything that you've been coached to do so far. And you're having these conversations. How can you create urgency in the client for them to take the action? Okay. Number one is going to be gathering information. When we're talking to a seller, the reason why you're even on the phone with the seller is because they lack information. But in order for you to provide information to them, you have to gather information from them first, right? Like, you're an advisor, but until you identify the problem, you cannot prescribe a solution. So we have to be an information gatherer in the very beginning by asking questions. Asking questions, okay? Number two, research. You got to do research. This is where you find out home values. This is where you find out a little more about them outside of the phone call. Maybe you do some type of research, and we'll get into that stuff here in a minute, but you got to research everything. You got to make sure that when you meet, before you meet with the client, you're extremely clear on how to help them. You're extremely clear on how to communicate with them. You're extremely clear as to what their problem is and what the solution is, right? Well, that's number two. Number three is the presentation. That is where you give the information. You've done your due diligence. You've gathered the information. Now in the presentation, it's time for you to give the information. So now they can make an informed decision, okay? Let's go deeper into phase one, information gathering. Write this down: attitude and approach. Attitude and approach. Your attitude, which I'm pointing to my mind, your attitude is going to dictate your approach. All right. I know it's common sense, but your attitude is going to dictate your approach. Had a conversation with the team today about our attitude and approach. It always needs to be people over commissions, people over profit. We got to put the client first. Number one, when you put the client first, you're coming from the lens of how to serve the client, right? Attitude and approach. Then that affects your communication. And I want to distinguish the difference between communication and words, right? Because words are just, oh man, I can't remember what it was. I think the communication breakdown, words is like 10% of the communication equation. Let me double check this, because I think this is very important for us to get. So let me look at this. There's a study of the communication breakdown, and I want to share this information with you because I think a lot of times we put too much we put too much. We think that the words mean everything, right? Like the words are the most important thing, and it's just not. Okay. 7%, and this is a communication breakdown. 7% of the communication comes from your words. So let me give you an example. You send a text to a friend, and the text could be, and by the way, you could be having a beautiful day, uplifting day, things have went extremely well for you that day, and you send a text to your friend, and your friend calls you, and your friend's like, "Hey, are you mad at me?" And you're like, "No, why? What happened?" Well, keep in mind that text doesn't have any tonality behind it, no voice inflection behind it. It doesn't have body language behind it. It doesn't have any of that stuff. That's why words are only 7% of your communication. Okay. And then you have, what is that? 38% of it being tonality. So how you say the words. This is a phone call, right? You got you're hitting on two on a phone call. You got words and tonality. That's 38%. Tonality is 38% of the communication breakdown. And then 55%, the remaining 55% is going to be your body language. Okay. Like a smile, right? Like somebody could say something to you and they can say something that's kind of mean, but smile while doing it. And it comes off, it just comes off differently, right? Smiling is one of the best ways to build rapport, to build even more rapport. So when we talk about communication versus words, that's what I mean. Communication versus words, that's what I mean. We want to make sure we're communicating at a high level, okay? I won't go into how to do that because that's a different webinar, okay? But communication is different than just words. And then the next thing I want you to focus on when it comes to information gathering, which is phase one, information gathering, digging deep. You got to dig deep. Ask questions. Have level three conversations. Level three conversations. We did a training a while back on that about digging deep, figuring out what's important to somebody, then why that's important to them, and then even why that's important to them. Now, what I'm going to do is all my people that attended today and everybody that's going to catch the replay, I am offering to all of you a document that has 11 questions you should ask every seller to make sure you're digging deep, to make sure you're figuring out that their obstacle and the pure motivation behind them wanting to sell their property, right? 11 questions to ask a seller. I'll make sure that you guys get a copy of that. We should have a QR code at the end of this. If not, we will make sure that we send out the replay to every one of you, and in there will be the document for you, okay? So dig deep. Let's keep this going. Let's talk about phase two when it comes to research. Research the client. Like do a little, it's worth doing a little research, maybe on Facebook or LinkedIn. Understand, like, who am I serving? What is their personality like? If you're familiar with the disc, where will they be on the disc? Because now you could communicate with them the way they want to be communicated with. People like people that are like them, okay? And if you're able to build a lot of rapport with them, they're going to listen to you more. People don't care about what you know until they know you care. So when you research a client, now it gives you a great chance to be able to accomplish those things. And then not only researching the client, but research the property, the subject property, the price, the ability, the net profit, right? When we talk about price, do your comparable market analysis. Make sure You're looking at comparable homes and what has sold in the area that is similar to that home. The ability, like what is the ability of that property selling in the time frame that the client wants it to be sold, right? Net profit, how much money could the client potentially net? Because that's important. It's important to the client. So if it's important to the client, it needs to be important to you. So research the property as well, and also research the client, okay? Let's talk about phase 3. We're already at 3:45, so we gotta, time flies when you're having fun. So phase 3, presentation, information giving. So you've gathered the information, you've done your research, and now it's time to give the information. Give, okay? So you need to educate as to why it's important for them to sell now, but also educate as to, in their particular situation, maybe it doesn't make sense for them to sell. You cannot be attached to the sell. This is where in the beginning of the phases, I talked about having the mindset to put the person or the client over the money, because you're looking through the lens of serving the client versus the lens of trying to get a sale, right? That's a filter. So give them the proper information, give them the accurate information, empower them to make a decision. That's all you need to do. But you also got to be tenacious, right? You got to have tenacity. You got to be relentless. You got to be strong. You can't, especially in a competitive situation where that client is interviewing you and another agent or multiple agents, because that will happen. It will in this type of market that we're in, right? And as you're building your listing inventory to sell 1, 2, maybe 5 more homes per month on the seller side, understand that you're going to have competition, because there's going to be other agents trying to get the same listing. You got to be tenacious, and you got to assume the sale in your language patterns. And now we're getting into a little more advanced stuff. So I'm going to keep this part very brief, because this is another webinar that we'll have to do in the future. But your language patterns will have to be based on assumption. So for example, I'm sitting down with the client, and in the very beginning, like literally as soon as I knock on the door and they open a door for me, and I greet them, they greet me, I step into the property, I ask to take my shoes off. They say, "Oh, you're fine, you can keep them on." Okay, great. Well, again, I'm so excited, Mr. Seller, to get your home sold and help you get moved down to Florida by August. Notice what I did. Mr. Seller, I am so excited to get your home sold and to help you make the transition to Florida. I am assuming before anything, I'm not even like presented yet. We're not even at the table. I haven't taken out no documents, nothing. Like literally within 10 seconds of our meeting, of our conversation, I'm already assuming the sell. By the way, an agent like myself, I'm assuming the sell at least 30 times in that meeting. Okay. Again, this is more advanced stuff that we will definitely do a training on. If it's something that, if you guys want a training on NLP, neuro linguistic programming, a way to persuade and influence, if you want something like that and going deep on something like that, let me know. And we can definitely make a training or a webinar around that. Okay. And a part of that too kind of goes into getting the answer that you want. So you may have to ask for the business several times before they say yes. All right. That is a part of the presentation. It's going to be hard for you to ask for the business if you don't have the confidence. Okay. But that is phase 3, presenting, giving information, and then you receive the business. All right, let's talk about, and let's get ready to wrap this up. What do sellers want? Sellers want 3 things. Write this down. Price. They want to know what can they net from selling the property. Okay. So number 1 is price. Number 2 is going to be condition. The current conditions of my property and the market, are they sufficient to get me the price that I want? In other words, do I need to do any updates to the house? Or is the current condition okay for me to net the money you told me I can net? And is the market going to support all of that? And then number 3 is going to be the agent. Can you, Mr. Agent, sell the home? Are you the right agent? And do I even like you? They're going to question your ability. They want to know, you as the agent, can you get the job done? Do we trust you can get the job done? Do we like you? Okay. Those are the 3 things the sellers are wanting. I don't care where the seller's from. I don't care what their goal is. Those are the 3 things the seller is looking for. Okay. So make sure you have that written down. All right. So we are at the end. We got 2 minutes left. A real quick recap before we end this thing. Again, I talked about winning listings in a competitive market, understanding we're in an odd market. We are in an odd market. Sales are down. The market is not crashing. Sales are down though. And if you want to control the inventory, or I'm sorry, if you want to control the market, you must control the inventory. You must control the inventory. That means building up a listing pipeline, okay? And then when you're working with sellers efficiently, understand it's always going to start first with your mind. Are you doing the work to help you show up as a professional that is confident? Are you consistently every single day generating new opportunities for you when it comes to listings? Do you have a presentation? And if you do, is your seller presentation dialed in? Like, can you do it in your, can you do the presentation in your sleep, right? Are you providing the best service possible? Because when we talk about 76% of all listings come from past clients and SOI, according to the National Association of Realtors, keep in mind, if you're not providing good service, you ain't gonna get a lot of repeat business or referral business. So you gotta make sure that is dialed in too. It's not all about trying to find something new. It's about keeping the business that you had and then getting more business from the same people, right? Because a lot of people provide bad service and they try to outspend their bad service. They try to outwork their bad service and it's not sustainable, okay? So you could tap into your past clients, your SOI, your referrals, internet leads, open houses, FSBOs, circle prospecting, tap into those opportunities to get listings today. Understand confidence and commissions go hand in hand. And what do you say? How do you communicate effectively with a client, with a seller client, with a seller opportunity? Understand, whatever you say, you better say it with confidence, okay? Because there are going to be other people, literally the people that are on this webinar are going to all use what you've learned today and put it into action. So that's your competition already out the gate, right? There are going to be a lot of agents trying to get the same listings that you are trying to get. So what do you say? Well, I mean, it does matter what you say, but what's more important is how confident you're saying it. So make sure you're educated, make sure you're practicing your scripts, make sure you're practicing your presentation, and understand that these people have options. Sellers have options. They're going to choose the most competent agent, the most confident agent to support them. Make sure that when we're talking to sellers and we're helping them, that we are gathering information first. Through gathering information, that's the first phase. Before we even move on to phase 2, we got to make sure that we're communicating at a high level. We're asking those questions. Again, I'm going to share with you guys the 11 questions to ask a seller. So don't worry about that. You'll get a copy of that. Make sure you memorize those 11 questions. So then if you're out on the go and you get a call, you're talking to a seller, you got it dialed in. You can ask them those questions. Phase 2, you're going to be researching not only the property, but the client too. When you show up to that listing appointment, right? You got to make sure that, I mean, they should feel like you've known them for years based on the conversation, based on how well you've researched the client, based on how well you researched the property. They should feel like, man, did you live here too? It felt like you've been living here for the past decade with us because you know this property inside out. Like, yep, I did my research, right? You don't need to tell them, hey, I did a lot of research on you. Just let it be implied. That maintenance person must really, they take what they do serious, right? And then phase 3 is going to be the actual presentation. This is where you have earned the right to give information. You got to be tenacious. Our job is to empower people to make an informed decision. Limiting beliefs is the exact reason why people don't make decisions or make the right decisions. So you want to empower them to have a different belief that serves them. That way they can make an informed decision. And ultimately you can get what, you can help them get what they want, okay? What do sellers want? Well, obviously they want to get moved to their new chapter of life, but what are they looking for? What do sellers want from you? They want to know, what are they going to net when they sell the property? Now, a lot of times we get so stuck on price, like just the price. No, the price is just, from your standpoint, what they're going to net, because that's what they ultimately care about when it comes to looking at you and what are, are you the right one? Are you going to be able to do this for me? It's like, well, what am I going to net? Is the current condition of my home sufficient? Is the market sufficient to help me get what I want in regards to the price or in regards to the net? An agent, after all the stuff that I told you I wanted, can you actually get the job done for me? That's what a seller's thinking about. So again, winning listings in a competitive market, this is how you do it. Tap into your past clients today. Tap into your SOI today. Be education-based and back it all up with data. Start being that agent today. Start doing more open houses. If you're only doing 1 a month, I recommend doing 4. Do 4 open houses a month, okay? That will get you listing opportunities immediately. Make sure before you circle prospect that you understand you're going to get a lot of rejection and that it's completely okay. That is just the name of the game. All right. Circle prospecting, open houses, and really dive into Facebook leads. Social media is powerful. Past clients and SOI. That is who we focus on when it comes to building a listing inventory, even in a competitive market. All right. Winning to the listings is going to come from you being skilled, you having the right attitude and approach, and you being tenacious. Okay. So make sure all the stuff that we went through today, you review it and you get it all dialed in. All right. So like I mentioned before, let me share my screen real quick. There will be access for you to get the 11 questions to ask a seller. So I got a QR code here for you. If you want it, scan a QR code. We'll send you over that information immediately. And for everyone who is watching the replay, again, scan a QR code. We'll probably even have it attached in the replay. But either way, this is the 11 questions to ask a seller. Highly recommend doing it. And this is how important it is. If I were listing my mom's house, I would ask her these 11 questions. If I were listing my own house, I'd ask myself these 11 questions. Okay. So that is how important it is. If you're wanting a little more feedback or you're trying to still figure out how to grow your business, you're not really sure where to start, you need a little more support, or just if you have questions regarding this webinar, let's chat. Let's get on a phone call. I have my Calendly link right here. You can scan a QR code and we can get you on a schedule for a 15-minute conversation to help you grow your business. So don't be afraid. I'm here to support. No, there's no dumb questions. There's no stupid questions. We understand in this type of market that we're in, we all need more support. Okay. So again, here's the QR code, scan that, and we'll direct you to the calendar to get you on there so we can get a 15-minute strategy call. And then join our Facebook community, the High Value Agent. We are constantly dropping great information in there for you to grow your business, for you to become a top agent in your market, whether you're in the market that I'm in, or you're in a market, any market across the country. The strategies, the mindset, the tactics, everything that we discuss in this group works. It's no theory. It's proven over a decade, actually over 4 or 5 decades, because these are going to be strategies that I've learned from my coaches, that I've deployed myself, got great results myself. I've then poured into people that I work with closely every single day. They've gotten great results as well. So it's proven. I don't care if you don't have a sales background. I don't care if you don't know anything about real estate. This is where it starts. This is where it starts. Very basic, very simple strategies, because all the sexy stuff is what gets people in trouble. The reason why we have a 87% failure rate in the first 2 years of an agent joining the industry is because they try to, they fall into the shiny object syndrome. You cannot be that type of agent. All right. Always keep the basics, the staple of how you do business. And that's exactly what we touch on in this group every single day. I think we're posting in there at this point every single day with valuable content. Okay. So scan the QR code, join our Facebook community today, and get that, be a part of that knowledge, be a part of our community, so we can mastermind together, we can grow together. So that is it. I appreciate all of you. Let me stop sharing. I appreciate all of you joining. And if you guys, so we will actually be back on another webinar here in a couple weeks. So what I'm trying to do, what I am going to do is consistently drop information, consistently do webinars. There was a while where we kind of, like a good month and a half where we didn't do any webinars, but we're getting back to it. We're going to consistently be dropping valuable content. If there's something specific that you want to touch on, I know that you want me to touch on. I know we talked NLP earlier. I believe we're going to have a social media one coming out, how to master social media on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. We're going to be doing a lot of good stuff, but if there's something that you're struggling with that you want more knowledge on, shoot me a DM. Definitely shoot me a DM on Facebook and let me know, because I'd be happy to share more information on some of the things that we use. Okay. And if I'm not the person for that, because I don't have, it's something that I just don't do, then I would definitely recommend you to somebody who's a master in that area. That way you can learn from the right person. So, all right, you guys, stay focused. Let's get some listings out there and let me know how you do. Let me know if the strategies are working for you, and do that by being in a high value agent group. But until next time, y'all take care, stay safe. See ya.